This is the video you absolutely don't want to skip. Bo's Super Speed Bump. You will play the role of God. Create different survival skills from scratch. Testing system to understand the survival skills of tree species. Here you can use the perspective of God. Witness the evolution of hamsters from pets to kings. The octopus's unimaginable wisdom. The powerful brain of the crow at the top of the food chain. On the first date, you begin to create the world. First, create a home for the hamster using the glass box. Simulate a realistic habitat. To test the survival skills of the hamster, the new home you created consists of 4 parts. The first part is the obstacle test. This will test its digging ability. If it can dig all the way from the top to the bottom, then you have reason to believe it can build itself an underground kingdom. Part 2. This tests the hamster's ability to recognize food. The little hamster has been needing pet food since birth. Has always been needing pet food. You are not sure if it can take different paths. Find and open natural seeds. If it can successfully pass this level, then what it needs to do is proceed to the next level. Find a button and press the switch. Things are not as simple as they seem. It has to find it among 24 boxes filled with soil and press the switch. But can it do it? You are not sure either, but you hope it can succeed, because the reward for the next level will exceed its imagination. Of course, this will also test the little hamster's hunting ability. Only by passing these survival skills tests, it can settle down in the world you have created and thrive. However, the little hamster that has just arrived, it is not suitable to start the testing work immediately. It needs to adapt to the new environment first. Give it some alone time. The little hamster is seen alone in one corner, thinking day and night about how to escape. This is not a good sign at all. Signs until a few days later. It no longer struggles. The world you have created is already lush with greenery, a vibrant scene. Born and raised in a pet cage, growing up on artificial food, able to pass through numerous trials, can it comfortably settle into its new home? You are not sure. Maybe it doesn't know either. And so, a grand survival challenge began. When the little hamster arrived at the first level, it sniffed around. It seems to have absorbed the scent of the soil. Before long, it began to dig using its innate intuition. This action left you speechless. It should be noted that it had never encountered soil before this. You can't imagine how it did it. However, it seems to realize that it has dug in the wrong place. But soon it found the right direction. It was not digging quickly. It quickly dug its way to the exit. At this moment, it stopped. Perhaps it was the first time digging. It must take a break for a while. By the way, let me clean off the dirt on my body. After the break, the little hamster completed it in one go, found the way to the next destination. You can't help but marvel at the wonders of nature. It seems to know exactly what it needs to do. At this moment, the little hamster has set off to embrace the next challenge. As it arrived at the fork in the road, without hesitation, it chose to go straight. The road in front of me is like a maze. It accurately found the food. Perhaps it isn't sure if it's edible, but it also took everything away. Instead, it didn't do as you might imagine, eat the food. Instead, it stuffed all the seeds into its mouth. Maybe it feels that it's not enough. It ran back to the sunflowers. It rolled away all the sunflower seeds. Before long, the little hamster returned to the original starting point, entered the underground storage room, put all the recent gains, store everything. This is something you never expected. Perhaps this is also its good habit of not indulging in advanced consumption. It's time to see what the little hamster is doing next. It will face new obstacles, and it's a bit complicated. You couldn't help but feel a bit anxious for the little hamster. It jumped onto a square filled with soil, sniffing left and sniffing right. It soon dug up a red button in one of the squares. Dug up the red button. Even more surprisingly, it actually knows how to press the switch. As the little light bulb lights up, the little hamster has reached the next level. However, this level is to face other small animals. The little hamster needs to catch the cockroach and eat it. As God, you can't help but wonder. It has been raised on artificial food all its life. Can it really be done? Just when you were lost in thought, the cockroach has become the little hamster's meal. The little hamster, having eaten and drunk to its fill, begin to run towards a better life. This will change its future forever. However, when it travels to the future, it suddenly stopped in its tracks. Perhaps it's the unfamiliar environment, unfamiliar greenery. The land before it is unfamiliar. Everything seems so unfamiliar, so unknown. It cautiously sets off towards the new world. What may surprise you is, after exploring for a while, the little hamster immediately turned around and ran back. Passing through the maze, crawled through the pipe, crossing the soil, returned to the starting point. Is it just running on the wheel? You can't figure it out no matter how hard you think. In the following days, it hasn't done anything else besides running on the wheel. Didn't do anything at all. But as the god, you have to do a lot of things. During this period, you place some pine cones and leaves into the glass box to further simulate the natural habitat of the hamster. Perhaps it smelled the scent of new food. The little hamster quickly ran toward the glass box in a few swift steps, running towards the glass box. Afraid of being too late, the food will become someone else's. A few days later, you return to this world once again, but you find that the little hamster has disappeared without a trace. Just as you were feeling puzzled, the emergence of an underground storage room, it suddenly made you realize, unknowingly, the little hamster has already settled into its new home, built an underground kingdom, and moved all the food over. Every night, it still runs back to the original place, running quickly on the wheel for exercise. So you decide to give it a helping hand. The little hamster's exercise equipment has been moved to the ecological box. The world you have created for the little hamster is currently moving towards a better direction, but your tests don't stop there. Next to enter is a little octopus. Here, you will witness its unimaginable intelligence. This box is filled with its favorite food. However, getting to these foods is not easy. It must rely on its own intelligence. It must pass through the 9 challenging levels you specially set for it. The first challenge to overcome. It passes through the obstacle from below. Welcome to the second level. It has to find a way to get past the floating ball in the water. If it can succeed, then it will face a revolving door. Here it needs to use its intelligence, understand the principle of the revolving door, to reach the 4th level. In this level, the little octopus will find that there is a wall in front of it. It needs to push this block. Only then can it proceed to the next level. The difficulty of the challenge will greatly increase. The difficulty of the challenge will greatly increase. The little octopus's agility will be put to the test. It needs to learn to grab the horizontal bar and rotate along the groove, so that the little ball can fall down. Only then can it pass through the pipe to reach the 6th level. When the little octopus arrives at this level, it will find that its way out is blocked. Die. It needs to find and press the button on the wall. Only then can it unlock the door to the 7th level. But can it do it? You will never know. Of course, if the little octopus succeeds, then it must also demonstrate its skills for living on land. Because it must first climb out of the water surface, then enter the water. At this point, it can take a short break, have a snack and take a photo for remembrance. Then the little octopus needs to continue forward, facing the second to last level. There are 6 holes of varying sizes above the level. It has to choose one of them to enter the final level. Of course, each hole can ultimately lead to success. The only difference is the path. If it can complete the final task, open the safe, the little octopus gains not only the freedom of seafood, it can also prove that it is smart enough, capable of facing various challenges. Return to the ocean. Then the little octopus can successfully challenge the call. Perhaps even it itself is not clear. Once everything is ready, as God, what needs to be done? It's about opening the path to the little octopus's challenges. The scent of food may travel along the pipe, has reached its living tank. It went straight through without hesitation, determinedly passed through the pipe, like a brave gladiator. Forge ahead, face the challenges, fearless in the face of challenges. Soon, the little octopus found the entrance. However, once it came in, it did not act immediately, but instead, it stopped. Perhaps it didn't know what to do next, or perhaps it was just thinking about what to do next. Before long, you notice the little octopus starting to explode everywhere. using tentacles to gather information, grasp the current situation. It didn't take long. The first level was completed easily like this. As for the second level, it seems like a piece of cake for it. As it cleared the level, you can see, it is so skilled at using its tentacles. Go collect information, investigate the situation. Maybe it's time for the next level. The revolving door is definitely not going to be that simple. Alright. Underestimated its intelligence. Underestimating its intelligence. The next level is pushing blocks. Just like when it first came in, it paces back and forth in place. But it soon discovered, this red wall can be easily pushed open. It quickly found the way upward. Arrived at the 5th level. Because the red ball completely blocked its way, it simply can't squeeze its body through. Indeed, it spent a long time exploring but was unable to succeed. In the end, it seemed to give up the effort. It simply lay flat. Just when you were feeling smug, you have once again seriously underestimated the abilities of the little octopus. It was staring at you, while raising a tentacle. Grasp the horizontal bar and rotate along the groove. Let the small ball drop. Then it continued to move forward. This seemed before you truly dropped your jaw. So far, the little octopus has already passed half of the level. Just like before, it first uses its tentacles to understand the surroundings. You always feel that as soon as it touches the door, it seems to have seen through the mystery. It immediately pressed the button, successfully opened the door. This scene once again exceeded your imagination. After moving forward again, it seems to be struggling. The octopus can survive out of water for about an hour. If it weren't for necessity, it would absolutely not come to land to move around. After exploring for quite a while, perhaps it was the scent of seafood that drew it forward. After being fully prepared, it quickly glanced at the water surface, quickly returned to the water from the other side. Now the octopus has reached the final stage of the challenge. You think it's time for it to take a break. By the way, have a bite to eat, take a photo, or something. After replenishing its stamina, see, the little octopus has arrived at the maze of level 8. You see it choosing the largest hole. This also means that it must navigate through the most complex route. At first, it was quite willing to follow your path, continuously exploring and moving forward. But later it seems to have had enough. Break the rules. Directly saw the exit. Finally, it has arrived at the front of the safe. It used its tentacles to tear down the entire door. Rush towards the hard-earned spoils, savoring the joy of victory. Since the little octopus has successfully completed the challenge, then you also begin to fulfill your promise. Let it return to the sea. Perhaps after this challenge, the little octopus can find food in the sea. How to find food solely on your own. On the way back after releasing the little octopus, you casually order takeout. However, it was this very takeout, but it caught the eye of a crow. From then on, you have a personal feud with the crow. It realized that you often order takeout. Whenever the delivery guy drops off the takeout, the crow didn't steal your takeout. It just comes over to cause trouble. In short, it will bully you from time to time. To find out if you've caught the attention of the crow, and how smart are crows, really. So you borrowed a crow from your neighbor as a representative. Conduct an intelligence test. Like all scientists, the first step begins with training. See how curiosity drives it. Come up with ways to interact with the surrounding objects. The few mini-games you carefully crafted spark its interest. You find that it really likes this small ball. Its understanding of cause and effect is also quite profound. After months of observation and research, you have created 9 levels, specifically designed for testing it. Can the smartest bird, the crow, succeed in the challenge? The first step of the challenge. The crow needs to solve all 9 challenges to get to the chicken nugget. The only way is to solve all 9 levels. The first challenge is right on this table. The crow will find its favorite wooden ball in the grain bin. It needs to find a way to get the wooden bowl out, but now the only way is to raise the water level. The water level in the 2 buckets rises. It will connect the 2 copper wires, complete the circuit connection. A few seconds later, The next light will automatically turn on. Guide the crow to the next level. The next challenge. It needs to put enough items, place it on one side of the balance, tilt it, thus creating a circuit connection, thus activating the third level. The goal of this level is to assess the crow's recognition ability. If the crow can correctly identify your portrait and ring the bell, then a bill will float down, banknotes with NFC chips embedded in them. The next level's box contains a reader. If it can continuously record 3 banknotes, you can open a door at the bottom of the box, reveal a tool. If the crow can successfully reach this point, it must bring the tool to the 5th level. In this level, it needs to learn how to bend the tool into a hook, then take the tool out of the beaker along with the cup inside, to guide it to the next level. This level is a simple and straightforward stacking challenge. It just needs to stack a few cups, thus connecting the circuit. Then it can enter the mid-level. Here, it will receive a small appetizer to awaken its taste buds, give it strength to complete the penultimate challenge. The crow must find a way here. Hang the sailboat inside the bottle to trigger the switch. Guide it to the final challenge. This level does not require much advanced preparation. It just needs to knock over this egg, activate the infrared sensors inside, thus triggering the final signal to lift the birdcage. This way, the crow can fully enjoy. It deserves the chicken nugget meal. Will it succeed? As you expected, the meal in the birdcage, it quickly caught the crow's attention. Its brute force attempt will ultimately end in failure. After circling around the room, it turns out that things are not that easy. So it flew to a higher position, even if it recognizes something familiar, but it still doesn't know what to do. As the god, you decide to give the crow a little hint, guide it into the test. The first level lit up. This instantly piqued its interest. Just as you hoped, the small wooden ball caught the crow's attention. It immediately tried to pick it up. It's just a little bit off. So what do you think it should do next? Perhaps you should realize, your package is about to expire. Just as the book says, the crow inspected the items on the table. It realized what it should do. Yes, it directly picked up the small stone and put it into the grain bucket. Before long, it successfully picked up the small wooden ball. Meanwhile, the sensor has been triggered. Level 2. Wide open. You may proceed. I have to say, this is an easy question. To help it gain more confidence and persevere, the crow indeed provided the correct answer. However, it seems to be surprisingly picky. It even flew back to pick up its favorite small wooden ball, place it on the tray. Although it performed very well, but it seems that this had no effect until it picked up a coin. The crow successfully reached the 3rd level. It seems to have immediately recognized which one is you, the god, and caught at your photo. Even though you can't understand the language of birds, but you know what it is saying. Anyone who can see this is really handsome. After it spoke its true feelings, but it shook the bell. A dollar bill gently floated down like this. To help, it moves in the right direction. You turned on the light of the cash box. Just as you imagined, it correctly placed the money into the box. But at this moment, it seems that nothing happened. Even though it tried to find another way, it still couldn't succeed. Suddenly, it seemed to realize, if no new light lit up and nothing happened, it should fly back, check if the previous level was completed correctly. The crow rang the bell again. It saw another banknote falling from the sky, so it quickly rang the bell again. At this moment, it flew up directly to catch the banknotes still in the air. It knew very well that it should put the last 2 banknotes in the cash box. All must be placed in the money box. After reading the NFC information, the drawer under the box opened directly. It acquired the tools needed to solve the 5th challenge. Unfortunately, the crow did not pick up the tool, but it flew directly to the next level position. Of course, this won't succeed. But just at that moment, it seems to understand the causal relationship between these levels, so it hurried back to grab the tool and made its way back. But the first attempt ended in failure. This might be the smartest bird you've ever seen. It seems to know what it should do. Soon after, a hook made of crows, Jay appears right before you. This time it successfully took out the cup, successfully lit up the path to the next level. You know this level is relatively easy for it. But the problem is, does it know? The last cup is the one it just took out. It didn't take much effort. It easily stacked the 3 cups. But it seems like nothing happened either. But it quickly figured out what to do. So it went back to fetch the cup it just used, stacked it up. Intelligence. Intelligence. It miraculously completed every level above. So you decide to let it take a break, and reward it with a piece of chicken to replenish its energy and confidence, to complete the final challenge. Your decision seems to have made a difference. As it reached this level, the crow didn't really try. It just knows what to do. In this process, it shows you what is skilled coordination ability. Once it raises the sailboat, the trigger switch immediately sent a signal to it, entering the final challenge of the entire test. This means the crow is able to solve this level. It successfully completed all the challenges. After evaluating for a while, it made the correct and simple move. As the infrared sensor is triggered, it's time. Let the crow enjoy its most sumptuous meal in the sound of its own chirping. But just before the grand feast, its one action deeply touched you. It picked up a piece of chicken, ran to the grain barrel in the first level to dip in some water. Then it handed it to you. This is something that only happens to humans. It is truly and vividly manifested in the crow. At this moment, you felt a deep sense of relief. The original crow, no matter how it bullies you, has become less important. Because you know, they are smarter than you imagine crows to be, more intelligent. Out of respect for birds, now, every time you grab fast food, we'll always set aside a portion to share with them. Hope that in the years to come, everyone can coexist peacefully with birds. Princesses and young masters, see you next time.